All right, it's week 2. Jets and the Buffalo Bills Sunday at MetLife Stadium. We're going to break this thing down with Brian Baldinger and Bart Scott. You got to forgive us. The Mad Backer had some technological problems, but we battled through. We start with Baldy, and then we ended with Bart.
We'll beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
It's picked off. Aaron Glenn. Jumbled and caught. Jumbo Elliott. One-handed catch. Chris Bart gets running loose. Reeves can't wait.
Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride.
The official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Personalize your game day look by shopping spirited styles and so much more at your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com, where team spirit meets personal style. Baldy, we're starting with just me and you today because Bart's having problems with technology.
Well, it's not the first time. And, it's something that we've come to expect. We feel a little sorry for Bart, but we still love him regardless.
All right, he'll join us soon. But let's talk about week 1 in the National Football League as we look ahead to Jets-Bills in week 2, a big-time showdown at MetLife Stadium. Overall, your thought of the play in the league and also focused on the Jets from our perspective. What did you think about the green and white in that opener? I
thought the offensive line played great. I mean, the thing that just jumped out across the board of the Jets, and not in perspective of the whole league, I thought the Jets' offensive line played as well as anybody in this whole league. And that's really encouraging because obviously we lost Ollie Vera Tucker last week, but Joe Tippmann stepped in. I think it's actually his best position. But Joe and Josh with the rookie Membo was fantastic. I mean, that's T.J. Watt out there and Alex Highsmith. And those guys did not, really ruin the game in any way. And then I thought the offenses that did play well in this league, you saw great coaching. I thought Tanner Engstrom really stood out with his formations, his motions, how he protected the edges. I thought he was very, very good. And I thought it was a good operation offensively by the Jets.
I'm glad you mentioned Tippmann because obviously he started his career in the National Football League at the guard position. Most people thought he was going to be a center. He was involved in a center competition with Josh Myers, but the Jets signed him in free agency. AVT goes down before the season. They shift over Tippmann to right guard. Why has he been able to make that transition so well? And also, do you think that ultimately this is the better position for him?
Well, I think, first of all, I thought they cross-trained him. Even during the center competition, he played guard in the preseason, and he played well. But I honestly think it's his better position because he runs really well. And so the guard's got to be able to move. You got to be able to stay with, fast defensive tackles. You got to be able to get to the second level, and chase linebackers in this business if you want to have, a successful running game. And I thought he demonstrated all of that. I thought he pulled well. I thought he got in space. They threw a screen to Breece Hall out there, and he was out there leading the charge. It might be his best position. But regardless, right now, he's the right guard. So you can look ahead and say, okay, is he a center or guard? But right now he's their guard going forward, and that's going to be his position.
How impressive is that what Membo did, considering the assignment? Everybody's talking about T.J. Watt all week, and he's a great player, and he's going to make some plays. We know that, but Membo was one of the highest graded Jets on the entire team.
I don't need anybody to give me the scorecard. I mean, you can just watch it. The guy's not on the ground. He stays on his feet. He got movement at the point of attack. He never looked like it was overwhelming. That's a great defensive front that the Steelers have. They have a lot of talent there. Whether it's Hayward or Benton or Highsmith. I mean, just go through the list of guys. It's a talented group. They've put a lot of resources in there. At one point, TJ was the highest paid defensive player in the league a couple weeks ago. But regardless, I mean, it didn't look like it was too big for him. And he went toe-to-toe, and his feet and his hands were really, really good throughout the entire day. He looked like he was having some fun out there along the way as well.
What do you make of the quarterback play? There's a lot of people who've seen Justin Fields throughout the years. This is his third team. We've talked a lot about it. Fourth offensive coordinator in 5 years. You said Tanner Engstrom had a great plan for his quarterback, and I thought Fields responded. I mean, you're talking about a guy, completed 16 of 22 passes. He became the third quarterback in Jets history with 1 pass touchdown and 2 rush touchdowns in the same game. And the Jets scored on their first 4 possessions, Baldy.
Yeah.
For the first time in a season opener going back to 1997, and Aaron Glenn was part of that team as a player.
Justin was great. He really was. The touchdown to Garrett Wilson, I mean, it's a deep cross with Josh Reynolds, and he saw it. He threw it to the right guy. He threw him open. The coverage wasn't terrible. But, it's Darius Slay chasing, Garrett Wilson across the field, and the throw, beat the coverage. Look, the touchdown run off the read option, I mean, TJ Watt's waiting on it. He's sitting right there. Like, he knows what's coming. And Justin ran right around him, and turned the corner. I mean, it was very impressive. His decision-making was crisp. His movement was good. The ball security. There's very little to nitpick about Justin Fields in the opening game. But, anybody that's been around him, and I know, this offseason you've been around him, EA, he's a very serious student. He takes the game serious. He wants to be great. And I thought Tanner coached him up like that. I thought it wasn't paint by numbers. He had to make reads. He had to do some things. But that's a talented group on that side of the ball, and they consistently move the football there. So, Justin passed the test. He was very, very good in the game.
He certainly did. Now, what I typically like to do here on the pod is set up the landscape for this game.
Yeah.
Jets, tight loss where the offense played well. The defense did some good things. I mean, listen, they got to Aaron Rodgers. They had 4 sacks.
Yep.
They took care of the run game, but
Good
there
on
was some
third
problems.
downs.
Yep, there were some problems in coverage. We know that. Rodgers had 4 touchdown passes and also some penalties hurt as well. So there's certainly some things to clean up. On the other side, you're talking about a Buffalo Bills team who made a historic comeback against the Baltimore Ravens in the fourth quarter, but they had problems themselves defensively, but Josh Allen just took it to another level.
He did. I mean, you got 2 MVPs going at it in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. It was great theater. It was prime time, and they were both up to it. The one thing about Josh right now is you have to take the ball away from him because he's playing with such swagger. Like his touchdown pass to Dalton Kincaid. I mean, it's at a cover 2 look. You got Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Stark standing on the goal line. Like most quarterbacks wouldn't attempt that throw. You're throwing right into the teeth of the dog. And he did. And he completed it. It was a great throw. And he did the same thing at the end of the game against Nate Wiggins. Like he trusts his receivers to go get it. He trusts Keon Coleman. But when he sees it and he rips it, he's not second guessing himself. It is unbelievable confidence that he played with. And then, obviously the offensive line is very good. They protect him well, but his movement is good. I mean, it's a good group. The offensive line is now starting same 5 starters now for either the second or third year in a row. And so they've got a lot of continuity up front.
All right, before we dive into the matchups, what do you make of the spot here for both teams? The Jets coming off the close loss by 2 points. Chris Boswell nails his 60-yard field goal, but they're at home. This is the first game in division play under Aaron Glenn. Conversely, the Bills have dominated the division the last 5 years. They're going on the road after, a miraculous win.
Well, it's early, but it's a statement game. Both teams played very well, offensively in the opener. And everybody is cautiously optimistic coming out of training camp. But, for some teams like September's the new August. Like they're just trying to figure out what they have. The Jets came out and played well, and they ran the ball great. And so, Buffalo gave up 238 yards rushing. I mean, that's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. It's a different type of running game. But still, I think the Jets can run the ball against Buffalo. Their linebackers are undersized. They have great speed. Matt Milano's a great player, but he's 220 pounds. Like, you got to make him pay a little bit. And so I think they have questions at corners. Christian Benford's probably their number 1 corner right now, and that was a 6th-round pick out of Villanova. Like, I think that if you can protect him, and they're going to blitz you, they're going to pressure you in different ways. They're going to play their their coverage where they basically play this umbrella and try and keep everything underneath them, which is fine. That's kind of what they have been doing. But I think there's all kinds of cracks in this defense of Buffalo.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to dive into that. The Jets offense versus the Bills defense Sunday at MetLife Stadium. It's an AFC showdown. Be at MetLife Stadium as your New York Jets take on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, September 14th at 1 p.m. Presented by Visa and Cash App. Get your seats now at nyjets.com/tickets. All right, Baldy, what do you expect as far as Angstrom against the Bills defense of week 2?
Well, you kind of know what they are. I mean, they're a four-man front. They're a zone team. All right. They're very fast flowing. I mean, I always feel like if you want to have success running the ball against Buffalo, you got to run right at them. They always have and try to create an unblocked player at the second level. And if you don't get, their Taron Johnson block, he'll make every tackle in the nickel. He's very talented. He's as good as there is in this league right now. So I always feel like running at him is the best method. So power inside runs, power, pulling your Simpson, pulling, Tipman with some power right there. Tight end's got to continue to block well on the edge. But, Breece Hall didn't miss a hole the other day. Like his vision was outstanding.
He ran violent too.
Huh?
He ran violent too.
He ran violent. But from the very first run of the game where he went off left tackle for 17 or 18 yards, like he was patient to the hole and then he exploded through it. That's encouraging. And then Braylon Allen is a beast. Like I think the formations they have with both backs, who's going to get it, kind of keep you guessing a little bit. I think, they got some success with that. Obviously, Justin Fields is a part of the run game, and so just the way Lamar Jackson is, there's runs there for Justin. And then there's, just like Lamar, if the pass isn't there, his ability to take it down and make good decisions with the ball, running it are paramount. But I think there's real questions at safety for Buffalo, whether it's tackling or whether it's in pass defense. I think there's question marks at the safety position. And so I think, you got to find a way to go test those guys and test that secondary. Like I wouldn't just say just because they're sitting back there in these zones playing these umbrella coverages that you can't attack them. I think you can attack them. You just got to hold up front. Greg Rousseau is a good player. He's not TJ Watt, but he's a good player.
Yeah.
They got Joey Bosa over there now. And Joey's not the guy that he used to be, but you got to respect Joey. Like he's a real pro. And so he started for him opposite Greg Rousseau. So, I mean, protect your edges like you did last week and run right at him. And I think there's a lot of success. I think the way that Tanner protects with his tight ends and motions and movements, I think we'll see more of that this week.
Man, I love this. Speaking of question marks, though, do we have Bart Scott back?
Listen, technology, man. Listen, this is the same exact thing that I used last week. Verbatim.
Bart, I tell you, here's where I want you to start, Bart. How impressed were you with what Tanner Engstrom did offensively with formations, motions, movement? I thought it was really impressive.
That's good. That's good, Baldy. But I also want you to take it forward here to the Bills game.
No, but I am. This is how we take it forward. We go
Okay.
back to the future and we bring it forward because you talk about what he did and also I thought that it was a lot to be learned about how the Ravens use Lamar Jackson in their run game with a lot of those jet motions. I would love to see them in some of those jet motions with maybe their speedster coming in motion to grab the eyes as you pull guys like Rutgers back and run basically quarterback powers to the open side, the short side of the field, where it's less numbers as you tilt the defense. So I thought it was a lot to be learned from what the Ravens did last week as well, because you have a more powerful, stronger runner in Justin Fields, especially when you have those gotta-have-it moments. So I was very impressed with what he did. It's now how do you grow those packages? I thought the double speedo where, Garrett Wilson caught the touchdown, is basically a mid-level pick by the guys. They grabbed and it's weird. Why, if you're a safety, why wouldn't you grab the speedo from Garrett Wilson's side? They decided to grab it from the other side.
He made the right read.
Right, and he made the right read, and he threw it right into the basket, and you love those type of things. And then Breece Hall just seemed so explosive coming out the hole. He seemed fresh. I hope they can keep him healthy, because if we get that Brees Hall, it's going to be a problem. And I love when they went with the pony package.
Yeah.
I thought one of the things where he has to think on the backside when he decided to go for the run with Braylon Allen at the bottom. When you do that as a defender, I'm going to pin my ears back, because I know he's the run downhill guy. So if you put a guy like Brees Hall or even Isaiah Davis in, then it makes me think that this could be a pass. I have to honor my keys. But when I see Braylon Allen back there and to proven otherwise, I'm coming downhill first step.
The other indicator here for Buffalo, and I know you watch this, Bart, is honestly, it was almost this simple. When Baltimore played their two safe. What am I saying?
Too high.
When they were too high, it was a run. When they were single, all right, they were throwing it to Zay Flowers. All right, they were hitting them. They were hitting their receivers. It almost looked like it was just that easy. And then to Bart's point, with a lot of the ghost motions and fly sweep motions that they had, that's when Lamar took off. That's when he scored on his 10-yard run and his dash. And so, honestly, it looked like it was almost a safety game with how they attacked Buffalo's defense last week.
Well, yeah. Can't Garrett Wilson be Zay Flowers this week for the Jets? When you look at this matchup, another thing is, when we look at areas of weakness, or maybe a question mark, we should say, Rapp and Bishop had tough games against the Ravens.
Tough tackling and tough covering, both.
Yeah, well, when you get ran over a couple times and stiff arm to the ground, you start questioning everything about your life and your manhood.
Yeah.
And I think Braylon Allen can create that same type of fear and intimidation coming downhill. First one, straight ahead, no fair dodging. Like, ain't no moves. When you come through the hole, we're looking for contact to send that message.
Well, to that point, Bart, that 8-yard touchdown run by Braylon Allen right up the middle, like I was telling EA, I always think Buffalo is a fast-flowing defense.
Yep.
They're undersized. Right. Like, I like running right at Buffalo.
Yes.
And Braylon Allen's touchdown run last week, I mean, okay, let's get to the second level. Let's put a hat on those linebackers. Let's take care of the down men. And that was impressive. That when you can run inside the 10-yard line for touchdowns, every offensive coordinator in the league will say, the hell with the pass. This is what we want to do. Bad things happen when you throw it into quarters coverage and the things you can do in the goal line. When you can run it, that's always a good offense's first option.
I mean, and you take if Amsterdam want to go back to what they used to do with the Lions. I mean, I'm taking tackle pulls. I am trapping Ed Aller. He's their
That's
tone
what I was
setter.
just going to ask you. Yep.
Yeah. So traps, wolves, and whams. I got fullbacks coming in. I'm letting them go. I'm ear holding him. He's not going to know where it's going to go. A lot of times I'm not going to block him. And then I'm going to run the option off of him. Right? I don't run the option off the edge guys. I run the option off of him. Right? That way I get a hat on the hat so I get to the sideline. And once you wham him a couple times and you send those fake short motions and you take those jet sweeps, he's going to start hesitating and not just firing off, especially when he's not blocked. So sometimes you can do that and still an extra guy at the second level because you don't block him and you run away from him. He's like, where's the wham coming? And it's actually just a stretch play to the opposite side of him. So now you change the math because basically you're playing 11 on 10 because you're not blocking a guy. A lot of times they let the backside guy so he can't just crash down. But, if you just don't let him come through and you don't block him, the end and you block him, you can get Brees or you can get Isaiah Davis or you can get Allen to the run away.
So what's the Bills' counter here? They gave up 238 yards on the ground like we're talking about, more than 8 yards per carry. I mean, that Baltimore run game is terrific, but the Jets sure have the look of a terrific run game themselves. But you guys are talking about it. These guys are a little bit different. They're different, right? So what's Buffalo's counter when they're looking at this first game?
The first thing coach is going to tell these guys, you got to tackle better. I mean, they just didn't get Derrick Henry or Lamar to the ground, but they got to tackle better when they have a chance. It wasn't just like there was this big lanes for Derrick Henry to run through. They became big when he got into the secondary, but at the line of scrimmage, they got to get off blocks and tackle. I mean, that happens a lot in week one. Nobody's really tackled, and so you go and you look at that film and you're like, okay, this is an opportunity. Instead of Derrick Henry going for 50, we could have tackled him for 6, and we could have saved a lot of those yards.
Yeah. And for the Jets, they can't get frustrated because they're going to be jacked up on Mountain Dew early they're going to be able to maybe get Brees down and get Allen down. But, those things wear on you. As you saw, they got Henry a couple of times, and you just stay consistent with it. And eventually what you're doing is creating body blows for later in the game when they don't want it anymore. I thought, 39 was good, but I think 40 is better. I think they should have 40 rush attempts. You have to earn the right to get to that. That means you have to win on first and second down so that you have the opposite, you have options. You got your whole menu for second down. So then third is manageable if you don't pick up on second down.
One of the reasons why they got to 39 runs is they did a great job at the point of attack. Yeah. They got real movement,
especially left side
line of the Steelers. When you get movement like that, and that means you're coming off the ball, and it's not a finesse offense, it's not a finesse running game, it's not zone stretch. I mean, it is real power football when you're moving big bodies like they did. And if I'm Buffalo, I'm worried about the way the Jets came off the ball in that game.
The Jets have always been the thorn in their side in recent years. They've always played the Buffalo Bills very, very well. Let's see if this new regime has a feel for what the Bills like to do. We know the players do, but, the coaching and the scheme has to match because Saleh had a good beat on them. And that's why it was always a difficult matchup no matter what the records were.
All right, before we flip it to the other side of the ball and look at the matchup of the Jets defense versus this prolific Bills attack, Bart, got to get your thoughts on Fields. We talked to Baldy about it a little bit. He had some really impressive throws during that game. You mentioned the speedo, the deep crosser there to Wilson. I mean, the placement on that was beautiful because if the arc is down a little bit, maybe that ball's intercepted. Or like the throw to Tyler Johnson over the middle where the pocket starts collapsing and he steps up and then squares the shoulders and things like that. So he just seemed to be in command for 60 minutes.
Yeah, his mechanics was good too. You know what I mean? And he had his feet underneath him. He wasn't. And I think the ones that were more impressive to me was the first throw to Brees, right in between the defender, and Brees snatched it naturally, and also the throw to Rucker. To thread the needle that way. And to see Rucker come to life because he has a quarterback that believes in him because he's been with them for a long time to give him those opportunities. And he did nothing to warrant that you don't get those more opportunities because he made the plays, right? He made the tough catches. And, eventually Mason Taylor would get more involved. So I was really impressed with his poise, and also his eyes remaining up when he was scrambling, not just looking to run.
All right, let's take a break, and then we're going to flip it to the other side of the ball. The NFL Fan of the Year contest presented by Captain Morgan is back. And the Jets are looking to celebrate extraordinary fans who will represent the team at Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. Visit nyjets.com/fan of the year to submit your nomination now. The official Jets podcast is presented by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Personalize your game day look by shopping spirited styles and so much more at your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com, where team spirit meets personal style. All right, fellas. Buffalo each week last year, it felt like they were scoring 30 points a game, and I think they were. So opening week, they score 41 against Baltimore. Defensive game plan. How do you slow down Allen?
Well, one, you have to contain him in the pocket. I thought the Ravens at times did a good job in kind of stirring the pot, running time games and me games and things of that sort. But you also have to understand what he's trying to do. You have to understand what I didn't agree. Like when you look at the big play that they had against the Ravens in a pivotal time to Coleman, whenever he has these snug routes, this is a rhythm timing type of offense. You got to press the point. At the bottom, Marlon Humphreys, who believes in himself, challenged himself and jammed the point, which threw the timing off, which gives the pass rush an opportunity to get there. And on the top, Zaire Alexander and the other corner decided to play off. You can't let Coleman build that steam up. He's like Gronkowski. If you let that big body run with 10 yards with two-way goals, you have to make sure that you challenge these guys at the point of attack because they aren't great guys in getting off the press. So you have to throw the rhythm out, but you have to challenge yourself and understand that you got safety help over the top. This is going to be a safeties game because everybody knows that it's about their tight ends. Even the third string tight end is what was the pivotal, almost one of the nails in the coffin for the Ravens. And whenever you get to 3-by-1, whether it's motioned or whether it's a line, you're getting the banana route, especially if they see too high. You have to understand that. You have to anticipate that. You have to know where the ball is going.
Well, I mean, when the Jets have had success against Buffalo, they've taken the ball away. They've gotten to Josh Allen. They've gotten the ball on the ground. And so that was the difference in the game last week was the one turnover. These games are decided by a turnover. You got to take care of the ball. And if you could get 1 or 2 extra possessions, whether it's Josh laying the ball on the ground or tip ball or anything else like that, where you're hitting them like they hit Aaron Rodgers hard last week. I mean, I was surprised at how he got up from some of those hits, like Quinn hit on him and Jermaine hit on him. Like, you got to get to Josh. And so, like Deion Dawkins is going to take Will McDonald, remove him from the line of scrimmage. He's going to get him out there like an extra yard wide like Deion likes to do, and he's going to put him in a phone booth. And Will has the ability to beat Deion Dawkins. He just does. He beat a good tackle last week at Broderick Jones a couple of times. Like, if Deion wants to play that game with him, and he doesn't do it against everybody, but you'll know right away. If he starts walking away from his left guard, he's like, I got this guy. I'm going to wire him up. And so make him pay to do that, because it's not – nobody else does it in the league like that. And that's the blind side to Josh Allen. You got to get the ball on the ground a couple of times. Quinn got the ball on the ground last week once. They didn't recover it. They got to get the ball on the ground in this game.
Yeah, you got to make the plays when they come. Last week, Stevens had an opportunity to end the game. If he makes that interception, you have to understand, possessions are important in this game. And whenever you can steal one, it gives you an opportunity. And it's the little things, right? Because the Buffalo Bills aren't going to go away no matter what the lead is, because they believe in their quarterback. Hell, what they did last week with 225 yards, they're going to have belief for the rest of the year. That's something that amplifies that. So you have to make sure that even if you're ahead, you can't let your foot off the gas, because you can't give them opportunities to get back in the game. When you have them down, you have to keep them down. If you're behind, you have to choke them out. I was really impressed with this defensive line. Like I said, what's my guy's name? I call him Juicy. People tell me I can't call a grown man
Briggs?
Juicy. Yeah,
Briggs?
He's juicy. He reminds me, like I said, he reminds me of my old teammate Marquise Douglas. He just bounces, springy.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? He got a lot of little wiggle to him, little fighter in there. A little pistol starter. So,
I thought they had a good rotation, Bart.
Yeah.
I thought they had a good 8-man rotation up front, kept them fresh, and I thought it kept them going for the whole game.
But
Hey, I gotta interrupt real quick. We have a voicemail. We got a question from a fan that I want to get in here before Baldy departs. Katie, roll that in.
Audie from Brooklyn. How are you guys? So I want to know how our coach, good coach, hopefully a great coach, knows defense and allows Pittsburgh to score in the red zone 3 out of 3 and so easy. It's like guys were wide open. They were playing zone. They were playing man-to-man, and they obviously had plans for that. So maybe after the second time they scored, couldn't they play zone? All right.
Okay, I hear.
All right, thanks
Bart. So what happened on the Skoranek touchdown? Like, where's the breakdown? It's a cross. It's a cross from the slot.
Well, they had one in front, one behind, and the front guy. You have to, when you have this type of boot action, usually the front side linebacker or the backside linebacker is the one who speed turns and climbs high, right? The front side linebacker, the backside linebacker, you lose in the play action, so you give him a pass. And, so that has to be picked up by our safety. A safety has to come down and grab that one. So it's about communication and understanding how you're going to take these over routes. That's basically what we used to call the old school strike pass. It used to be basically the fullback. You fake it to the tailback, and the fullback comes down, act like he's going to block the lead block, and he avoids him. And then on the other one, we call it the Woody boot. And the key is, like, when you have the offset running back, the key is when you have a snug place, they're basically running a legal pick play. They run slants by the two outside receivers. So the only way you need to stop that, and I've been trying to get to Aaron Glenn and trying to get to Curry, because this is something that we ran into a lot of times when we went against LT and we went against Reggie Bush, because it's basically a sprint pass with, it's a foot race between the inside linebacker who's lined up over the guard. Meanwhile,
he's got no leverage on the play.
He's already flanked out, because if the ball runs away, he can't be so far wide trying to match the alignment with the running back, because if he goes the other way, the center or somebody will be able to scoop up to him and cut him off. So they'll be able to split the defense. So the only way you can do that, and the Jets have the perfect personnel to do that. They have McDonald and they have Jermaine Johnson, who's basically outside linebackers. So what you do is we used to call peel. And peel means –
Bart, real quick. Baldy's dropping out.
Okay.
Good stuff, teammate. We're going to get this right
thanks,
next
yeah.
week.
Way to hand the baton off to me, Baldy.
Hey, Bart.
Got off the block slow, but I appreciate it.
Hey, Bart, listen, I just want you to finish strong today, okay?
I will.
Finish strong.
I'll
You
finish
got off to
through
a
the
slow
line.
start, Bart, but finish strong here today, all right?
I'll
We
finish-
got a starter
I'll
to
finish
go
through the
6
line.
innings. Now we got the closer. Get out of here, Baldy.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
So
Bart,
I'll finish on that point. So what it is right, you're outflanked because they do that on purpose. They bring two snug receivers in tight. They run slants, and then they know that cornerbacks don't exchange routes, especially in man-to-man with the linebacker. So linebacker's by itself. So the only thing you can do is work a call with your outside pass rusher. We used to call it peel, which means if this guy flares, one, if you're going to keep rushing, you have to make him cut inside of you. Right, so that means you climb high, and if he's changing his angle, you run outside, or we call it Frisco. Me and Calvin used to do it all the time. Frisco, once that guy flares, then Calvin, you take him because he's the only receiver. The guys running the slants aren't expecting to get the ball; they're just running illegal picks. And then me as the inside linebacker, instead of trying to take him on the flare route, I replace Calvin in his rush, knowing that once the quarterback sees that Calvin picks him up because he's outflanked, because he's outside as the guy's trying to run to the power line, Calvin's there, it's easy to take him. I take the rush, and I'm able to get to the quarterback. So usually the quarterback either had to just throw the ball, chuck and duck, or he had to just eat a sack. But you have to have this communication post-snap. And it happens only when you have snug receivers because you know you're going to run into trash, and it's a foot race, and all they have to do is get in your way. But not all defensive coordinators have that tool in there, because we played with Rex and that was a new thing. They used to run slants and swing routes with LT and Reggie Bush. So you can never get through that trash. So what we started doing is taking our outside linebacker, which is basically our DN, but stand him up. And then he can just easily take that because the guy has to come to him because he's already outside of him. He's already outflanked, so he can't beat him outside. And remember, you don't have to be a great pass cover, but just because you're outflanked, and Jermaine Johnson can run, and McDonald can run, and once you see that, we're going to get the sack because it's only a one-man route.
Yeah. Well, Artie was talking about personnel there, man. Listen, it's week one, and Stevens.
Well,
I'm telling you, Stevens did. He had a really good training camp.
It follows him from Baltimore, right? He was playing a former divisional opponent that knew him very well. I knew that the inside fade was coming. I knew that they were going to target him. Sauce was playing at such a high level. And this is something that Cromartie had to learn. This is something that Samari Rowe had to learn. The loneliest place is opposite a respected lockdown corner. You're going to get tested. And DJ Reed had to realize this as well. And DJ stepped up to the task. So, like, when you talk about it and you talk about penalties, which Aaron Glenn talked about, when you talk about, not performing to a standard, everybody's job is always up. Every week is an audition. And we're all, listen, when I was there, Demario Davis was on my heels. There's competition. And that brings the best out of everybody. So 1 game, 2 games, everybody has to be ready. I mean, in this town, we're talking about Jackson Dart playing for Russell Wilson week 1. Right, that's just the nature of the business, because in the NFL, 1 game, this isn't basketball, this isn't baseball. 1 game means a whole lot.
All right, well, let's speak to a couple superlatives. You just mentioned Sauce. How good was he against Metcalf? He traveled with them.
It was unbelievable.
The vast majority of the game, and then we're talking about this matchup with the Bills. The Bills don't have a prototypical one, but do you think just from a body type standpoint and the way this kid's developing for Buffalo, that Keon Coleman would be the natural fit for Sauce in this one?
Yeah, but I can play left and right. You know what I mean? Because Stevens, he doesn't have problems against these type of guys, right? He's a big physical cornerback. So Stevens might be even a better matchup because he's a little stronger than Sauce, right? So And then so Sauce can go and get the Elijah Moores of the world, or I don't know the other receivers, offhand from them. But this is maybe an Isaiah Oliver type of game, because he's a guy. Because when you have a safety that also is your backup nickel,
yeah.
if he's your backup nickel, that means you trust him against receivers. So you damn sure trust him against tight ends, right? So this is maybe what we used to call a big sub, where we would take out, where you maybe take your second best guy out. Your second best linebacker comes out, and then the big sub guy used to come in. It used to be Smitty at times. When I was young, I was the big nickel. They would take out a big linebacker. But, you bring in a safety type. You see the Ravens do it a lot of times with Kyle Hamilton. You insert him there, then now you have somebody that can help against the run, but somebody who can run with Kincaid and be able to make it difficult for him to get off the line of scrimmage, because he's going to be the go-to guy, especially whenever they get to 3-by-1. It's going up the rail shot, banana shot, every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Well, I was really encouraged by Jermaine Johnson. He comes back. He played the vast majority of snaps. And it's going to be an interesting matchup there, because Quinnen was phenomenal in week 1, and he can give the Bills a lot of problems on the interior.
Absolutely. He can be super active, right? And, if they shut down Cooks, it's going to be a challenge, because Deion Dawkins and that, we have to be able to attack Spencer. We have to say that Jermaine Johnson is much better than Spencer.
Right.
Right, so we got to be able to make it a difficult day for him. I thought the Ravens let him off the hook a couple of times. He got a couple fake muscle man shots with his neck roll. He was able to get a couple plays on the Ravens. But, that should be a dominating game for, setting the edge, but also being able to keep Josh Allen in the phone booth, because he should make, life miserable for Spencer Brown. On the other side, McDonald, with all his movement and his ability to spin and come up the field with speed rush, but also I saw a little power, against Broderick Jones when he got the sack. It shows me that he put a little time in the weight rooms, eat some protein shakes. Maybe you gave him your workout plan, EA, and it got him up to snuff. He was able to really, cause havoc. So understanding that, especially if he's next to Quinnen, it's going to be a lonely day, because, it's going to put Dawkins on that island, opposed to if you put, somebody else over there, they may, try and help a little bit.
The secret's out on Will McDonald. People don't know it by now. This guy is outstanding. He gave Deion Dawkins problems last year, and
Correct.
he opens the season with 2 sacks. So give me a number of points as we get out of here. How many points do you think the Jets have to score this week?
It's got to be a minimum of 24, even go whatever we're talking about. It's got to be a minimum of 24. We can kind of salt the game away by running the football and making sure we limit the possessions. But we got to get 7 in the red zone and not get field goals. We got to be able to execute on defensively as well. To keep them out of the end zone. But 24 by minimum, more likely to win it, probably 27.
27. All right, brother. Well, it's good seeing you. You finally joined us. Late is better than never.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man.
Time for my extra point. Listen, the Jets did a ton of good things in week 1. We know that. Most notably, you look at that offensive line, they were dominated at the line of scrimmage. They were pushing the Steelers back. More than 180 yards on the ground. Justin Fields was phenomenal. So poised in the pocket, also using his legs as well, picking up yards on the ground. They have a dynamic ground game in the makings here with Fields at quarterback, and then those backs led by Breece Hall, who got his 6th 100-yard rushing game. On the other side of the ball, of course, the Jets have some things to clean up, but I love what I saw up front with that front 4. Jermaine Johnson back in the lineup. Will McDonald had 2 sacks. Quinnen Williams was outstanding. Okay? So that was week 1, but we are on to week 2, and styles make fights. The Jets have to come out and get after Josh Allen and company. Got to win on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and hopefully you are even or plus in the turnover department. This is going to be a tough game, but it's going to be a crazy atmosphere at MetLife Stadium. And what we saw in week 1, while there are no moral victories, is if the Jets play like that and fix a couple things, they can beat the Bills, and they can beat a lot of teams this year. but they're going to need you at MetLife to make that place crazy on Sunday for Josh Allen. It's going to be a well of a matchup. We're looking forward to it. We'll see you next week.